guys, welcome to my follow-up video to my two previous sort of spotlight genre videos where I cover my three favorite sort of Italian subgenres, I guess. In the first episode I covered the Euro crime, poliziotteschi genre. In the second episode, which I filmed right before this one, I did my spaghetti western stars guide episode where I talked about some of my favorite spaghetti westerns, some of the more recommendable, I guess, spaghetti westerns. And in this episode, unfortunately, I don't have any black gloves or whatever, but we are discussing the murder mystery genre of Italian filmmaking called the Giallo or Gialli, or Giallo is definitely the most famous coin of phrase for this genre. We're discussing Giallos now. What is sort of the history of this one? Well, in the sort of 1960s, I guess, you had some early Giallo films. They were sort of more based on the German Krimi films and, the Agatha Christie murder mystery novels and stuff. But in the 1970s, it was a genre that really was gaining a lot of momentum, popularity, because of director Dario Argento, who made the highly influential Bird with the Crystal Plumage. Now, why is it called Giallo, which is literally a translation of the Italian word for yellow? Giallo means yellow in Italian, and that is in reference to the books, to the paperback sort of books that these murder mysteries were printed in Italy. They all had yellow, dust jackets, yellow covers, whatever. And so Giallo sort of became a shorthand reference for murder mystery stories, crime stories. Now, Giallo can mean a lot of things. It can mean a straightforward, whodunit, and Agatha Christie sort of style. For this genre, it can really be more horror-oriented stories, supernatural horror stories even, which they have Giallo elements. One or two we might be looking at today. It can mean a lot of things, but what it boils down to mostly, the more common perception of Giallo is that they are, highly stylized murder mystery films with tints of horror, with usually a black-gloved killer. We don't know who it is, and it's sort of the thing that it's a whodunit. You're sort of trying to piece together who the killer is. You usually have useless cops who the cops can't solve anything. It's usually an outsider, a reporter, or a musician or whatever. He's the character that's solving the actual murder instead of the cops. And that's really, in a nutshell, a bit of the history of it now. In the sort of late part of the 60s, Umberto Lenzi did a couple of them with Carol Baker. They were really, some early proto Giallos. The real stylized ones that we know. A lot of people, say two people are more responsible for this. Mario Bava with 1964's Blood and Black Lace, and even a year before that he did The Girl Who Knew Too Much. But it was Argento in 1970 or 71 who really invented this genre. Now, in sort of the 60s, the genre, I guess, didn't really kick off all too much because you still had the very strong dominant presence of the spaghetti westerns, which were the films that people were going to see. And yeah, like I said in the previous two episodes, they are fad oriented, the Italians, and something runs out of steam, they go to the next thing. So yeah, when the Bird with the Crystal Plumage, after the spaghetti westerns had pretty much died and they turned comedy and they weren't really doing that well anymore. When the Bird with the Crystal Plumage was successful, they ran with that for a lot of years, pretty much sort of alongside the Euro crime films. I think the crime films in Italy, the Euro crimes, I think they were more popular at the time, but the Giallo genre was certainly a big hit as well in Italy. And again, a lot of actors that were in all these genres, they all crossed over from spaghetti westerns to Euro spy and then on to Giallos and Euro crime, even before that in the peplums. A lot of overlapping and crossing over of actors and directors and filmmakers. So yeah, with that having been said, in this episode I'm going to recommend a starter's guide. I'm going to put together a starter's guide for people that might want to get into this genre. Because it's a damn interesting and entertaining one, even though, yeah, you have a lot of these films that sort of, when you watch it, it's like, oh, this is so weird, but I'm still sort of involved with it. Well, that's, for me, a lot of the Giallos. Gialli is the plural of Giallo, but it's more easier for me to say Giallos instead of Gialli, but on a side. But anyway, well, again, I'm gonna recommend films by directors and actors and one actress. I think you all know, if you're already a fan of Giallos, who I'm gonna talk about. But anyway, first off, I gotta mention Dario Argento and his influential films. And this is probably still actually my favorite Giallo film. It's still, for me, the prototype, and it still hasn't been bettered for me. And I've seen about 30 or 40 odd Giallos Giallis at this point. I'm just gonna say Giallos. It's what I go to first. But The Bird with the Crystal Plumage from 1970, Dario Argento's first film, and it's, for me, it's still unrivaled in terms of his Gialli work. Even though the next one I'm gonna show you comes damn close, and even the one after that comes damn close. I would be remiss if I didn't even mention his Italian horror films, which he's also known for, which aren't Giallis. You know, Opera, Suspiria. Oh God, what a film, Suspiria. Phenomena. But yeah, his Giallo work, Bird with Crystal Plumage, fantastic score by Ennio Morricone, one of my favorite Ennio Morricone scores. Again, like I said, a lot of people, you know, worked in all genres. Morricone did scores for the peplums, he did scores for the spaghetti westerns, he did scores for the Eurocrimes, also for the Giallos. So yeah, there you go. But however, a sort of music band, composing music, whatever, the music that is more associated with Argento came with Deep Red, 1975. Yeah. Again, this is another one of those sort of really proto Giallo films where you have a musician solving a murder in this one, played by David Hemmings. Yeah, fantastic film. Score by Goblin. Goblin did a lot of the Argento scores. I think this was their first, this was their first collaboration. Yeah, so yeah, these two films, highly recommend. The Bird with the Crystal Plumage and Deep Red. Absolute fantastic entry points. If you like that, there's one more Argento film I recommend. It's Tenebrae. This one is actually from the 80s. This is, what was it? I guess 1981 or 82, whatever, or even 1980 itself. But yeah, Tenebrae. This is such a great example of a great Argento Giallo. Again, you have a murder, black glove killer on the loose. Yeah, I don't know really what to say, because I don't want to spoil the plots for most of these films, because they are, you know, whodunits. You got to figure out who the killer is and stuff. So I try to be as sort of nondescript on the films as possible. I want people to go into this as fresh as possible. But just take it from me, stylized kills, and a very Tarantino-esque kill appears in this film. And if you've seen Kill Bill, for example, you will be reminded of Kill Bill if you watch this film, and that's all I'm going to say. Next, I'm going to recommend and show you some of the works of director Sergio Martino, who was really a big name, a big hitter within this genre. We are going to get to Mario Bava, don't worry, for people that already are very familiar. We're going to get to some Bava. But first, I do want to cover Sergio Martino because I love his films. And as a slash, we're also sort of covering the films of actress Edwige Fenech, who appeared in a lot of Giallos. And she's known as the Giallo Queen for a damn good reason. However, this first film I'm showing you by Martino didn't star Edwige Fenech. But yeah, it is a great one nonetheless. Torso, Sergio Martino's Torso, which has an alternate title. I think, what was it, something with the bodies of Carnal Sin, or I don't know. It had a very long alternate title. I'm gonna be careful because Shameless, yeah, I gotta cover that part up, because Shameless does like to promote, you know, nudity and stuff, and they have no qualms about showing nudity. But yeah, Torso, great Sergio Martino Giallo, one of his best. Probably my second favorite, to be fair, or third favorite. It's hard to say, but this one with Susie Kendall, who was also in The Bird with Crystal Plumage, I should add. And Luke Miranda, who was an actor that was also in plenty of Eurocrime films. Yeah, great film. Torso. Again, you got a gloved killer and a masked killer in this, wearing ski mask and a red scarf and stuff. It's very, very, like I said, all these films are like very, very stylized, very stylish. But I do recommend Torso a hell of a lot. Next up, this one, I think it was the first collaboration with Edwige Finache, and it's probably my favorite or second favorite Sergio Martino film. It's The Strange Vice of Mrs. Ward with Edwige Finache and George Hilton, and the two of them have made quite a few films, fair few in the Giallo genre. Yeah, The Strange Vice of Mrs. Ward. This is what a film. This is the twist. I really did not see the twist coming in this one. Yeah, it says here on the back, one of the top 5 Gialli, inventive, exciting, and unsettling. Sergio Martino is a genius. It's what Bloody Disgusting says about it. DVD Talk says it's a must-own for Giallo fans, a fantastic blend of Hitchcockian suspense and exploitative sex and violence. And yeah, again, just like with the Eurocrime genre, there's a lot of sex and violence in this genre as well. Edwige gets pretty much naked in each of these films, you know, which is really nice to look at. But yeah, The Strange Vice of Mrs. Ward, absolutely cracking film. It might as well be my favorite of the Martino films, to be fair. But it's hard to say. Also love his next one that he did. This is more of a gothic horror Giallo. This one has some supernatural elements and stuff to it. Satanic elements. All the Colors of the Dark. Again, George Hilton, Edwige Finache, Susan Scott, who's it's the alias for Nieves Navarro. Great Spanish actress who was in a lot of spaghetti westerns as well, I should add. Yeah, I think we're safe on the back there. Edwige just naked there, but you can't see anything. Yeah, again, this is a very, very stylized Giallo. I actually was watching this one again last night. Do have to cover it. You see a bit of a nipple on the disc itself, but yeah, All the Colors of the Dark. Again, it's a fantastic film. I love this one as well. This is actually the last Martino film I have with Edwige Finache in it, and actually the last Martino film that I have to show you here. Your vice is a locked room, and only I have the key. What a title and what a film, with Luigi Pistilli, Edwige Finache, Anita Strindberg, Arrow Video Blu-ray right here. Yeah, this is a absolute cracking gothic film, sort of based on the Edgar Allan Poe Tale of the Black Cat. But yeah, Italian style, plenty of nudity, plenty of sexual violence, plenty of just pretty damn gruesome violence actually. But yeah, Your Vice, The Lock Room, Only Have the Key, recommend it. And yeah, those are sort of, I guess, 4 of my Sergio Martino recommendations. He's also done The Case of the Scorpion's Tail, which I do have. And I do like that film, but not as much as those. And there's one more with Edwige, because she's the Giallo queen. I just gotta have one more Edwige Finache, Edwige, what, it's difficult to pronounce, but again, bear with me with all these Italian and French names or whatever. But Strip Nude for Your Killer. This is probably the most sleazy of the Giallos that I've seen. If you really want sleaze, if you want nudity for nudity's sake, and if you want, you know, any excuse to get some tits on the screen, it's this film right here. The back of it is safe. Yeah. Put out by Blue Underground in the US. Great Blu-ray here. Enough sleaze and nudity to enchant even the most dedicated Giallo fans, what 10,000 Bullets says about it. Strip Nude for Your Killer. It's not the greatest Giallo, but because of its sleaze and because of Edwige, recommend it. I definitely do. This one directed by Andrea Bianchi. Hope I pronounced that right. And now, now we're going to get into Mario Bava. Like I said, he did The Girl Who Knew Too Much. That was sort of the first one. Did quite a few in the 70s. But 1964's Blood and Black Lace is an absolute spectacle of lovely Technicolor cinematography. One of the proto examples of how great this genre is. I absolutely love this film in particular here, Blood and Black Lace. It's actually my favorite of the Bava films I've seen so far, even though the next one I'm going to mention I absolutely love as well. But yeah, Blood and Black Lace, Mario Bava, starring Cameron Mitchell, who was again in spaghetti westerns as well, namely Minnesota Clay by Sergio Corbucci. The same year, or 1 year after this, I guess. But yeah, Blood and Black Lace. Look at that. That's a stereotypical Giallo killer, a masked killer, fedora, long, trench coat, black gloves, razor, cutthroat razor. Yeah, Blood and Black Lace. And then this one really is the proto slasher Giallo, and even a high influence on the American slasher films that would come about a decade later. Bay of Blood, also known as Death of the Twitch Nerve, also known as what is a bloodbath, right there in the title, Bloodbath, a Bay of Blood, and Twitch of the Death Nerve. It has multiple titles. 2 kills in this film are copied straight for the Friday the 13th series. In what is it, Friday the 13th Part 2, the wheelchair kill. That's just one example. There is another one, but I'm gonna keep that as a surprise. But I'm gonna spoil that wheelchair kill because I think that happens in the first like opening 5 minutes or so of this film. But yeah, Bloodbath, Bay of Blood, Twitch of the Death Nerve, another fantastic Giallo with Luigi Pistilli again in that one. So yeah, now we have one more director that I recommend 2 of his works from. He's also done. He also dabbled a little bit in this genre, but he's more known for his extravagant and ultra-violent horror films. But he also used his ultra-violence and whatever in the Giallo genre to great effect. And I'm talking, of course, about the legendary Lucio Fulci. Now, he did a couple of the early ones as well, like Lizard in a Woman's Skin. That's also more of a sort of, I guess that incorporates a lot of gothic sort of supernatural sort of vibes. But for me, the 2 Giallos of his that I recommend the most is, and this is actually my second favorite Giallo that I've seen so far, of all, like I said, the 30-40 odd Giallos. Don't Torture a Duckling. Yes, from Lucio Fulci, 1972. Tomas Milian actually stars in this one along with Barbara Boucher. About a very, very disturbing subject matter about actual, kids being killed, about a child killer who's being investigated by Tomas Milian. He's a sort of reporter. Yeah, some very disturbing scenes in this one, but it's an absolute masterpiece. I absolutely love Don't Torture a Dog. This is one of my most watched of the Giallos. I absolutely love this film, and I highly, highly recommend. I'm not going to give away anything else of twists or whatever, but again, that film has a twist that I didn't really see coming too much, and it was sort of a controversial twist as well. But enough said on that. This is a more, I guess, popular, more known maybe than Don't Torture, more sort of associated with Lucio Fulci. The New York Ripper from 1982. Yes, Lucio Fulci's sleazy New York Giallo film. Yeah, about a killer who uses a duck voice, and there's so much sleaze, so much gore in this film. This is definitely why Lucio Fulci is called the Godfather of Gore. There were some gory scenes in Don't Torture a Duckling, don't get me wrong. But this one, there's no denying when you watch this, even if you don't, they say right there in big letters, of course, a film by Lucio Fulci. But even if you don't know it's a Lucio Fulci film, if you're familiar with Lucio Fulci, and you just, blindly watch this on like whatever, Amazon Prime or whatever, and you don't know it's a Fulci film, you will know by the time the first kill will occur that this is a Lucio Fulci film, or you will at least suspect that it's a Lucio Fulci film. But yeah, the New York Ripper, again, I'm not going to give away anything, because that's the thing with these Giallos, you got to watch them yourself, and you got to sort of try and unravel the mystery when you watch it. But But yeah, and then there's one more film by a director who actually did one, this might be his only one, or he did another one. But yeah, the director Massimo Dallamano directed one of my absolute favorites as well, right here. And this one is What Have You Done to Solange, which also has some disturbing scenes and some gory scenes. Now, Massimo Dallamano, he was actually, you know, the director of this film. He was actually the cinematographer for Sergio Leone on Fistful of Dollars and For a Few Dollars More. That's sort of how he started. And then he directed a spaghetti western, and he directed this great Giallo film. This one stars Fabio Testi, and with a beautiful score, once again, by Il Maestro, the Maestro, Ennio Morricone. Yeah, this is about schoolgirls, and there's some very, very sort of, like I said, brutal scenes in this one as well. And a nice mystery in it, and again, a twist that was very, very surprising. Yeah, What Have You Done to Solange? One of the genre highlights for me, again, one that I recommend. There's plenty more that I could recommend, but I guess those are just it for now. So again, just like with the other two videos, we're just going to do a quick recap. Massimo Dallamano's What Have You Done to Solange? Two Lucio Fulci classics in this genre, Don't Torture a Duckling and The New York Ripper. Two Mario Bavas, Blood and Black Lace, Bloodbath, Death with a Twitch Nerve, Twitch of the Death Nerve I should say, Bay of Blood, fantastic films. Edwige Van Eyck and Andre Bianchi's Strip Nude for Your Killer, probably the most sleazy one, right next to New York Ripper to be fair. And then Sergio Martino's films, Your Vice is a Locked Room, Only I Have the Key, All the Colors of the Dark, The Strange Vice of Mrs. Ward, and Torso. And then, for me, still the best director that made these films, to be fair, Dario Argento's Tenebrae, Deep Red, and The Bird with the Crystal Plumage. There you guys have it. Those are my Giallo recommendations right there. Or, I guess, starter's guide to Giallo. So you want to start Giallos? Here you go. Watch these. So yeah, there you guys have it. Those are sort of my trinity of videos on Italian subgenres. Again, recap, we just covered Eurocrime, spaghetti westerns, and Giallo. And I probably will do starter's guide video on more sort of subjects, on actors and directors and whatever genres. But I'm just going to keep it to these three for now until I get some inspiration for some other subjects to talk about. But I do hope you enjoyed these this trinity of videos. And again, like I said in the first one, in the Eurocrime video, I do really hope that people come away from these videos inspired to check out some of these, and hopefully they will like the recommendations that I made. So yeah, there you guys have it. Anyway, thanks for watching all. How do I leave you? Stay safe and healthy. Keep punching. And we will see you all in the next one. Take care.